Well, hey, how's it going? Right on, right on. Well, welcome to the neighborhood bike shop and another one of my bikes. Well, this is one of my favorite bikes ever, but it didn't start that way. Um, this is the bike I call Sherlock or Sherlock Holmes, and it's after, the character and the time frame that they're from. Anyhow, the point is I tried to make it as classy and cool, sort of steampunky, but I wasn't really worried about steampunk. I just wanted to make it kind of old-timey and stuff like that. But originally, I bought this Raleigh Clubman from a local bike shop. And it was a gift to myself for quitting smoking. And I brought it home and better story yet. Right after I bought it, it came with a Brooks Springer saddle on it. That Springer saddle was super heavy, and I had never ever had a Brooks before, and I just kind of wasn't into them. I already had a saddle that I had bought 3 or 4 of, and that was what I would use. So I told the crew at the shop that I bought this from, I was like, can I swap that out to just anything else and I'll replace it at home? And they're like, sure, yeah. What do you want us to do with the saddle? And I was like, oh, you can keep it. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. I should have kept that saddle. It would have been nice. But point is, I bought it, took off the saddle, brought it home, put a different saddle on it, and tried to tune it. I couldn't get this sucker to tune for anything, man. And I could get it dialed in on the top end, but not the bottom end. Or I could get it dialed in on the bottom end, but not the top end. And it wouldn't work. And there was nothing I could do about it. And the shop I went to that I bought it from, I tried to tell them that there's a manufacturer's defect, there's something wrong with this. They couldn't get it tuned either. But they would not take the bike back. They said, once the bike comes home with you, it's yours. That's your problem, not ours. Not super stoked on that, but that's how it was. And that's just life. So this bike, in its original format, got hung up in the garage. And it seriously got hung up for 10 years, for a decade. I didn't ride it. I didn't touch it. It was pointless. I felt like it was just a write-off. I wasn't really doing what I'm doing with bikes now. I was still just acquiring new, but it just didn't work. It didn't work for any reason. And then several years back, I asked a friend if they might have an idea about what's going on with it. And they said, have you tried repositioning the rear axle location on it? And so I acquired, through this same friend, some things called Monkey Nutz. And basically they're a little nut that you put into the dropout that controls the location of where the rear axle is, and actually slides it forward, because this generation of the Clubman didn't have a set screw that located the axle for you like it should have. And they probably engineered it for it, but they didn't drill it, and it wasn't in part of production. But so, whatever. Anyhow, I put the Monkey Nutz on it, relocated the axle, and I get the whole thing to tune up perfectly. It was working great. I was like, oh, I need to redo this bike. I need to make it just awesome, classy, just everything I could. So I went through and I did a ton of stuff to this bike. It probably has more unusual parts on it than probably any of the other bikes in my collection, and it's one of the favorites of people that know me on Facebook. Anyhow, if you don't know me on Facebook, you need to know me on Facebook. Come find me, and if you're a real person, I'll accept your friendship. But if you're not a real person, no, ain't gonna happen. Anyhow, this is the story of my Raleigh Clubman. So this is my Raleigh Clubman. And once I figured out what was going on with the rear end on it and the shifting and all that kind of stuff, and I could get it to dial in and actually take a tune, I decided I was going to go overboard with it, and boy, howdy did I. There are so many things on this bike that it's kind of hard to quantify, and where to start becomes quite a challenge. So I'm going to kind of start at the top with the saddle. So this is a guy's saddle. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's that kind of saddle. And it has a webbing underneath so that you can adjust the tension of the leather up above, and copper stays, which was something that I was really after. I really wanted it to be cool and coppery and old-timey leathery, and it is. But then I ran into a problem where I wanted to use a fluted seat post on it, but the seat post wouldn't fit, so I used an adapter to get it to fit, but then that meant that I couldn't use a regular, I don't know, seat clamp to the seat rails. But then I found these Brompton seat clamps that had a much cleaner look than like some of the old school clamps. And that really was a trick, man. It looked just awesome. So I was like, yeah, right on. So from the seat, we'll go up to the cockpit. We'll go straight up to the front. And I put an alt bar on it because I've got back issues. And I really need a more upright bike. Like, I don't want drop bars, and I didn't want a flat bar, but I wanted something interesting. So I got this cool alt bar. I can't remember what it is, but it's really, really comfortable. And threw some Tektro levers on there, which I love, with the drilled lever arms. Some friction shifters, copper bell, and a sweet light on the front. I love these lights. They're just USB charged. You can screw them on to pretty much anything. I have them on a bunch of bikes, and they're just super sweet. It is a great road marker for when you need it, and it doesn't really light up the road a whole lot in front of you. Like, you can't really see super well by it, but keeps other people from running into you with it. And then, as you're going to see throughout the entire build, everywhere I could, I replaced the bolts with either titanium or something that was copper. And then the sweet stem stack. I just love interesting stem stack spacers. I just dig how they have a different texture and they make the look different. Cool cap. And then this stem. The stem was really interesting. Like, I have still never seen another one like it, where it's like an I-beam construction. It has just this very interesting aesthetic to it. So that had to go on there, obviously. And friction shifters, because y'all that know me know I'm into the friction shifter thing. And because I wanted this alternate situation, I didn't want to just go a straight up leather bar wrap on everything. So I did a leather bar wrap into the Vans Colt grips that were the natural gum. And of course with my hemp twine and lacquered finisher, which makes them kind of finish off kind of super clean if you ask me, which is nice. And then bar end plugs, because I don't like just regular simple bar end plugs. I want something to be kind of cool. And these fit the bill, so I put them on there. Then the next thing that you'll probably notice on the whole bike is all the copper. The copper fenders, hammered copper fenders, I think look awesome. on the bike. Like there wouldn't have been another set of fenders that I could have put on here that would have looked just as cool. And then I needed racks. And so I went with a Velo Orange racks. They were pretty expensive, but they just work so well. And they're just such a quality product. Really, really dig them. Then those are hooked on with my favorite red volcano washers around titanium, or no, wait, those ones are just stainless steel hardware. And then the Hope skewer, front and rear, which is sweet. Rack and back, those volcano washers. They just kind of really bring so much life into my builds. Or at least I think so. Super cool looking. And then we might as well go into the drivetrain. So the idea behind this bike was to make it as close to a mountain bike train as I could. Like I really wanted, even if this thing was like held down with all the baggage I could put on it, and it would still be able to climb up over North Ogden Divide, which is a steep road. Like I wanted this bike to be able to climb walls with weight on it. So I have a large cassette in the rear. I think it's a 1136. It might be a little bit more, but I think it's 1136. And it's accompanied by an XTR rear derailleur on a dog bone, I believe. And then I go to the front chain rings, and I really wanted copper chain rings because I just think they're cool looking. And I found this one, and I think it's a 54, but it might be a 56, fairly large, fairly hard to deal with, but it's kind of a road. It's made for a Brompton, but it fit my CBD, so, you know, I was all for it. And I matched that up with an old XTR derailleur. And of course, I had to throw on the copper MKSs. These things are just butter. Just so nice. Of course, I might as well go to the water bottle holders, water bottle cages with the red volcano washers again. Just sweet looking. I mean, like, how do you get any sweeter than that, man? When you take this whole thing in, it really is a meal for your vision. Like it is very satisfying to look at, and I love this bike. I really do. And I hope that you guys do too. I know I've forgotten about a million parts on it, but that's all right. You guys don't need to know every single little part. Anyhow, that is Sherlock, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Right?